Welcome everyone. Robin Dufault here, President of CDAR for 2020. During this meeting is going to be similar to all our town hall meetings that we did with the mayors. Everyone will be on mute. And if you decide you have a question, and he does like questions, go down to the chat box and write it down. And both Ricky and I will be monitoring it. And if it's a complex question, Ricky will unmute you and you can ask Brad direct. The meeting will be recorded and archived at CDAR, and we'll try and get as many questions answered as possible.
Okay, I just email and Ricky.
We'll see when they join.
Well, Robin Weiss is in already, so.
Hi, this is Brad Inman.
There we go.
How you doing, gang?
I just went through our housekeeping, and I want to introduce you as Brad Inman, a journalist and entrepreneur who founded several media companies, including Inman News, the leading real estate information and events company. And we also want to welcome you to the Coachella Valley. I understand you just recently purchased a property.
Well, several years ago, actually, Robin.
Oh, okay. So you're a neighbor.
Yeah, not a native yet, but a neighbor.
Okay, have you been through our summers?
Oh, yeah, many years, 30 years I've been coming here, and always loved it. You live in a beautiful place. I'm really fond of the Coachella Valley. So yeah, thank you for having me. It's I've been taking Zoom Airlines all over the world, and this is the shortest flight I've taken so far.
Oh, yes. Anyway, I have a few questions to ask you in the beginning, and then I know you are going to encourage others to ask questions. We've already told them about the chat box, and we will be monitoring that. But first, let's start with your thoughts on how is COVID-19 affecting the real estate in the short term, and then if you expand on the future of real estate because of the coronavirus.
Yeah, I mean, the short term, I think we are all well aware, you know, we have a frozen economy. We're all frozen at home. And, you know, this is probably the greatest example of that concept of hyper-local ever. We're so hyper-local that we're in our houses. And yet somehow, some way, people still need housing always. And so there are transactions. I'm hearing anywhere from a 15% dip to up to a 75%. And that's around, you know, really literally, I've talked to 30,000 realtors around the world the last 2 months. Thanks to Zoom, it's such an opportunity to network in ways. So, you know, prices are holding up because there's not a lot of listings, and there are buyers, but everyone's kind of frozen in place, just like the general economy. And so I think this summer will be, you know, the real telling story. I'm not really a forecaster, I'm an observer. I get my best information from meetings like this when I talk to people that are actual practitioners. I wrote on economics for many years in real estate. I used to write a long time for the LA Times, and all the economists I interviewed, they're always wrong, and all the futurists were full of BS. And you know, people that predict things are usually wrong. So I can throw something out random, but I love and care about you too much to mislead you or guide you. You're my readers. You're the people that make Inman what it is. So, you know, I can put two and two together. We've all heard the theories, you know, the V or the you know, the swish, or there are some people on the dark side that think it's going to last for a couple of years. It's hard for me to stack up that this thing is just going to snap back. We don't know how we're going to behave. So let's say it opens up in Palm Springs. You know, I'm eager as hell to get out and go to Tropical and all the other great joints in town. But I don't know how willing I'll be, you know? And so we open up, but I think economic activity is another thing. But on the housing market, you know, I had 2 people knock on my door saying, can I rent your house? So people always need housing. There's always people, as I say, coming on and off the boat, and whether they're selling or they're buying. And, you know, in the case of people knocking on my door, I gave them a card of a local realtor, because that's the best way. Knocking on doors is, you know, kind of a painful process. But that's really, you know, one thing this has done is proven the essential value of a realtor, because you're so local and you're there. You know, it's quite amazing what goes on by local realtors in situations like this. I've seen unbelievable switch from sales to service, people being there for their customers, just like we all have to be there for our family and our friends. So I'm optimistic generally. I think this process was a good one. We slowed down. We had time to reflect. I mean, I don't know about all of you, Robin, and the gathering here, but I remember stories from childhood I completely forgotten because I had a moment to reflect and think. I did throw my Roomba vacuum cleaner, which is obnoxious and loud, in the swimming pool. It's at the bottom of the swimming pool because an old-fashioned broom works better anyway, but it's kind of fun to sweep instead of doing that thing. Technology, on the other hand, there's useless technology we have time to look at and we, really look at and decide what works. And, if all the stuff that's been sold to realtors over the years that didn't work or didn't really fulfill on the promise, my swimming pool would be full of gadgets, right? But realtors now have an opportunity to look at all that stuff. But on the other hand, there's a whole bunch of technology you better be using. And, everything from digital offers to digital showings to digital marketing to digital transactions to digital closing to digital escrow. I had a situation here when I bought this house where the escrow company had asked for a wet paper, a wet signature and with paper. And I said, well, I'm not gonna sign it. And they said, why? And I said, I don't use paper. And they said, well, that's the way we do it. And I said, why? And the woman said, because the lawyer said that's what you have to do. And I said, well, tell the lawyer that I'm not going to sign, and make sure you call the realtor, who I'm sure will be really happy with you, that this deal is going to fall out of escrow because they're not capable or willing to send me over a DocuSign. And I bring that example. I did it once in New York where I had a transaction, a deal to buy, and I walked away because my realtor wouldn't use DocuSign. And what I said is, I'm going to walk away. They go, you're going to walk away from this house because I don't have DocuSign? And I said, no, the question's for you. Are you going to walk away from thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of commission because you won't take 2 hours to learn DocuSign, and pay $29 for the program, which is what it costs them. And right now, I really believe realtors are in the driver's seat. A lot of the nightmares around the transaction have nothing to do with the realtor. It has to do with the mortgage, or the title, or the escrow. But you have a lot of clout. They're probably on this call. God love them. Those companies, but the key is you have the clout and power. You pick who that vendor is going to be. At least you recommend it, and most consumers trust the realtor and take that recommendation. And I think now, because of COVID, and you asked me after COVID, this is a really important one, I think, is you have that power, but instead of the same old guy that's always been there for you, which says a lot, and that's important, you just tell that same old guy that's always been there for you, if you don't, for example, if you don't enact a digital notary, then I'm not going to do business with you because you have all the power. They need you. You make all the referrals. So this is a great time to not only adopt the technology yourself to make it easier for the consumer. And there isn't really an ideological debate. Well, does everyone want virtual showings? It's not a question of whether everyone wants it, but what if half your clients want it? Then you better do it. And so to me, it's not like a political debate. It's just all this technology has been out there for years. Most realtors with their back against the wall have been doing one thing, adopting it. Realtors are so ingenious and so opportunistic and so clever, and they're going to do everything they can to close a deal. And so it's an amazing amount of innovation adoption that's going on now. But use your clout. Use your clout with the vendors that, I call the mortgage process the Freddy Krueger of real estate. I mean, it's a mess for the realtor and the consumer. And it's time we killed Freddy Krueger. And, I've been interviewing all these CEOs of big lenders, and there's some that are really, really stepping up, and they're digitizing the transaction. But you have a lot of clout in the real estate industry. That individual realtor has so much clout. And I'm saying exercise it. And don't be stuck in the past.
So, Brad, what is the impact related to that? What's the impact of iBuyers and Zillow and other interrupters?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, is it going to be hot this summer in Palm Springs?
Mm-hmm.
We know that, right?
Right.
Jay, you're there. Jay, is there any question it's going to be hot in the Coachella Valley this summer? So guess what? Zillow is going to be part of real estate as long as it stays hot in Palm Springs forever. They are the most powerful consumer brand, like it or not. 12 years ago during the last recession is when they kind of moved in. And they moved in because Realogy was a little on its heels. A lot of the companies weren't innovating with technology. They said this to technology. If you typed in real estate in 1999 or 2003, you would see Remax, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, Berkshire Hathaway, KW, all those, right? Now, if you type in real estate into Google, you're going to get Zillow, Realtor.com, maybe Redfin. The point is, they have become the dominant brand for the consumer. And like it or not, you may not like all their practices. I got my realtor through Zillow because I thought I was going to see the listing agent when I came to Palm Springs, and lo and behold, it wasn't. It was someone that bought a premium spot on Zillow. So I didn't think that was great as a consumer, but they do have a brand. And the difference here is they have a brand of habit, okay, like Google or Amazon. Unlike the brands of awareness, I'll call them. We're aware of Century 21, we're aware of Remax, but it's not a brand of habit. I don't go to Century 21 and look up home values and this and that. It's just like Google. So they've really cemented that position. So that's Zillow, here to stay. iBuying. They are a big iBuyer. And this is a scoop. They have $2.6 billion in cash equivalents. And they are in a great position to buy up companies, which they'll do, I think, tech companies. And they're fortified to get back into iBuying. And you got to remember what's behind iBuying. It's Wall Street. Wall Street wants to buy these homes up, and they've already created funds to start buying. There's an expectation that prices might come down, that they'll get good deals. And when they did this 10 years ago, after kind of creating the subprime mess, Wall Street, then they picked up all the deals, bought almost 500,000 homes. And I think what you're going to see now is, before, they didn't have instruments to carry it out. It was kind of clunky for them to buy homes. But now they got Zillow, which they back. They got Open Door, and they got OfferPad. So any idea that they're going away or they're going to implode or they're not going to be back, they're back. They're all back in the market now. I just went around the street here. I'm on Monterey Road, where you all know. And there's a Zillow listing, and it's their listing. It's their house. And, it's funny. People say, oh, I think real estate or Zillow is going to get into the transaction. They're not just in it. They are the transaction. They're buying and selling homes. But again, is that something you fear? No. Two things are important here. One, they're a buyer. And if you got a listing, you'll take any buyer, right? And if someone wants to buy it and the consumer says, sure, I'll take an instant offer, are you really not going to do it? So why not? It's just more buyers. The second thing, though, is there is a problem here. I don't think Wall Street cares enough about Main Street. We've learned that historically, right? Mm-hmm. And I think Zillow would be good citizens, I hope. But the key thing here is we need to have a realtor in every one of those transactions. If I did a deal with an iBuyer, I'd want a realtor in the middle. I really would. And so that's important. And there are different ways realtors have figured out how to be part of iBuying. Economics can be different, but it's a shorter sales cycle. You get paid quicker. There's all kinds of benefits. And who now, maybe when we have whatever, and you could tell me what the change in transactions are in the Coachella Valley, but we're going to grab every source of revenue we can. I have an event that I used to charge $1,000 for, and now I'm charging $50. We're all going to scramble for income and liquidity and revenue. And I know realtors, and they're great, downtime, good time, whatever. There's a revenue opportunity. It's not the time to get philosophical or ideological. There'll still be people paying full commission to sell houses. But there may not be enough of those. So people will figure out how to find opportunity. And I think iBuying, two parts. There will be opportunity for agents. And also we need the agent in the middle there to protect the consumer. So that's my view of the world. And by the way, everything I've ever talked about, there will be a lot of disruption during this period, as there was the last downturn. That's the greatest period of innovation in technology. But when I say disruption, I've never once said it's going to disrupt the local agent. Never once. As long as people say I said it, I've never once said it. I don't believe it. I always use a realtor. My whole company is based on realtors. I wake up every morning trying to serve realtors. So never said that once. But I do think it's time we disrupt the real estate process. It's long, protracted, uncertain. It's kind of screwed up, and we need to clean it up so the consumer has a better experience. And if we do that, there'll be more transactions. There'll be more deals for realtors, and the customer will be happier. And what could be better than that? And then that uplifts the entire reputation of the industry, which is always, we're always struggling with that, right? We know there are really good realtors that are ethical. And we know there's really good realtors that use technology. We know there's a lot of realtors that make money off Zillow. And we also know there's some bad realtors. But I think this will help clean it up.
And speaking of improvement, and you had mentioned the digital notary, CAR, the California Association, is working on allowing e-notary to be going on, and the sooner the better.
Absolutely.
And as far as disruptors, I mean, look at Uber was a disruptor, and Netflix and Amazon, all of those are disruptors.
Exactly.
I look forward to that as well. So one of the
But
things
you don't want to be, Robin, I think you know this. So I'm involved in an investment rental property, and we had to return the AT&T, or they have a new name. The cable companies have to keep renaming themselves because they build such a bad reputation. Can't think of the name of it now, but to return my box, they made it impossible. It's kind of like cabs in New York. Used to be horrible. I mean, these companies made their own bed. There's a push and a pull. You had young innovators creating new technology, but you had old party companies not changing the way they did business and still trying to stick it to me by making it almost impossible for me to return that box. And returning that box means they're going to ding me with the cost. So we make the playing field possible for innovators if we don't improve our own business. You know, before all this happened in New York, the cab companies, they fought it. They tried to lobby against it. They tried to sue them, you know, and everything. They put money in politicians' pockets to stop Uber. And any of us that lived in New York, we loved Uber. They finally realized that's not the way to fight them. The way to fight them is make a cab experience exceptional. And now the cabs in New York, not right now, but they're better service. So that's what we need to do here. Don't just complain and wring your hands and, oh, the disruptors and what can NAR do to save me? Just clean up your own shop. My dad used to say there's two sides of the street, the other side and your side. You can't do anything about the other side. Just work on your own stuff, Brad.
right.
And I think that's the lesson here, you know. I know in my business, I'm a digital media company. If I'm constantly adapting and changing to respond to you, my readers, you're going to go somewhere else.
So one of the things that's been innovated in the last, since this has started, is the 3D and virtual showings. And I see that as part of the future of the market.
For sure. Yeah, and this is where I put pressure on the tech companies. It's still a little clunky, Robin. It's still a little clunky. And they need to get their act together and improve them. I mean, you got that virtual picture, and then there's 360. Why do they have that up there? It's just a stupid user experience. It reminds me of that damn, you know, television changer by Comcast and by AT&T. It doesn't really work very well. And we got to improve that. So that burden's on the technology companies. And it's on the real estate industry to tell those virtual providers that they may be paying, get it together. You know, make them really seamless and beautiful and amazing, and put in their information and everything. And again, many people want to see houses, but a lot of us won't be happy to go through the process up even to the last second, or not at all. And so why wouldn't we put on our best face for those people that are more than willing to do it? Hey, by the way, I just want to shout out to California Association of Realtors. I've known Joel Singer for so long.
Oh, yeah.
And that whole gang there does such an amazing job. It's kind of like our governor, I think, in California. Unlike some of these bozos on the East Coast, he's done an amazing job as governor, and I think CR has done an amazing job. And I just, what they've done with their market information and their innovation, their lobbying, they've always had the best interest of the realtor in mind, but they also have this pretty big commitment to what's in the public interest. And that rarely happens in politics.
Mm-hmm. You're right. So do you have anything in closing that you want to share with everyone?
Well, I will tell you, we have a Connect conference that I think many of you have come to in the past, and you would have to fly to San Francisco or Las Vegas or New York, and you'd have to spend $800 registering with me, and you'd have to pay, you know, another $1,200, $1,500 in travel. We decided to make that available. It's virtual. It's June 2nd to 4th, and it's $50 if you're a member of Inman, which is now free if you want to sign up and get our free subscription. And the reason we did that is to make Connect accessible. And we have every single person you just talked about, our company. We have the CEO or the founder, Rich Barton, founder of Zillow, Glenn Kemlin, founder of Redfin, and Robert Refkin, founder of Compass, and just on all of them, Remax, Realogy, all of the executives. We also have unbelievable number of sessions and panels over a 3-day period, June 2nd through June 4th. And people say, well, okay, it's a conference, Brad. Where is it? Well, I'll tell you where it is. Jay, it's in your house. So get some chairs out, move them around. John Eric Lehman, it's in your house. Diana Bernard, it's in your house. We're bringing it to you. You've been coming to us for 25 years. Everything's changed with COVID. Now we're coming to you. And it's really fun. I've been able to see 25,000 realtors in 2 months. That was physically impossible before. So when we went into creating this virtual event, we didn't say, oh, let's try to make it like a physical event. Any more than Zoom Airlines is like taking United Airlines flight. It's totally different. And so it'll be a wholly different experience. And why a lot of realtors come, and they come, we have tens of thousands of people that participate and travel all over the country for us. They come for 2 reasons. The best content, all the leaders of the industry are there, but they also come for networking. The good realtors have ROI on Inman, and they know they make money because they meet people from all over the world and they get referrals. And it's pretty simple. And in the Coachella Valley, you need referrals. It ain't going to all come from the locals buying and selling houses, right? They're coming from everywhere. They're coming from Canada, New York. They're coming from LA. They're coming from San Francisco. They're coming from Europe. And so no market's better than networking. So that's really the plus here is you get all this great content you can get nowhere. I mean, just think about it. You're going to have the founder and CEO of Zillow in your living room, and he's in his living room. So you get him in a different, he's not all over affected. He's not all a big shot. He's kind of like everybody else. We're all kind of equal in this. So I'm not a good self-promoter or salesman of my own stuff, but it won't cost you a lot, $50. And by the way, if it hasn't value, I'll refund your money. And I just want you all to take advantage of it. I'm always amazed. We have events in New York City, and people come from China. People come to this from 50 countries, all 50 states. But they would come to New York from, Japan and China and South America. And some realtor a block away wouldn't come. And I always felt bad for the person. I didn't want his money. It's just like, oh, dude, there's so much opportunity here for you. You should come. Because no one ever comes to Connect and asks for a refund. And I've been promising that for 25 years. And the reason they don't is the Inman community really creates a great event. They really do. So that's one thing. The last thing, though, I would say, let me offer something. First 3 questions to me, if we have time, I'll give you a free pass to Connect Now, June 2nd through 4th. So type away a question. Do they put it in the chat, Robin, or do they put it in
the chat? I see that Charlie White share more about the free subscription.
Okay, Charlie, you get a free pass to Connect. You get Connect Now. The first 3 questions, put it in the chat. It looks like there's no Q&A on this one. And we'll give you 3 passes, and I'll let the association figure out how to distribute those, and I'll introduce you to someone on the Inman team that'll make it happen. Yeah, it's real simple. Go to inman.com and you'll see it. Open a story, and if you can't read it, it means you got to sign up. And once you sign up, it's free for 90 days.
Could you send that link to Ricky, and then we'll pass it on?
Sure, we'll send it all to you. What's the best speaker you've ever heard at Connect? Well, probably the best interview I ever did. I interview these people because I'm there to represent you. I'm not there to represent them. We believe that our 1 million readers across the world are the most important thing. And I love all these companies. I know all these guys, these CEOs, but 2 of my favorites, I interviewed Gary Keller once, and we went toe to toe. I mean, it was really pretty awkward. And for me, it was very humbling. And I think for him, so that was pretty dynamic. Because I kind of grill these guys, and he kind of turned the tables on me very effectively. He's a very, very smart guy. So that was an interesting. We also have all the new technology companies there that are really interesting, Jason. And we have one thing called New Kids in the Block. And these are all the new technology and all the new kids that are creating these new technologies. And I'll never forget, years ago, we had 10 of them on stage. And it's the only part of the conference where we allow these young innovators to tell us about their company. Everyone else is told they can't have a commercial because no one wants to hear a commercial. But the whole idea is to let them talk about their new product. And they're always nervous. Their hands are always wet. They're always cold. They're always shaking. This one time, I could tell this one kid was really nervous. And we get up on stage, and it's a big stage, and there's 5,000 people in the audience. And understandably, they would be nervous. But they get the mic, and I don't grill them, because Connect is about supporting innovation. It's a very upbeat, positive environment. And it's not like everyone's sitting, oh, what's going on to our business? They're coming after us. It's all about, we're one big tent, we're one big family. We're trying to improve the real estate industry to create a good consumer experience. So I didn't put him on the spot or anything. It was his turn. He forgot his name and he forgot his company. He was so nervous. But you know what was beautiful about the Inman community? And I put my arm around him and I introduced him and I told them about the product. But everyone could relate to that. Have you ever been in a position where you said something stupid or you got overly nervous? You know, we could all relate to it. And who better than realtors to relate to it? The beauty of the realtor community is just amazing. I teach at Cal Berkeley every once in a while. And I always say, if I could spend an evening with 10 faculty of UC Berkeley or go out with 10 realtors every time. But everywhere that guy went, people went up to him and gave him a hug. In fact, the best thing he could have ever done is forgot his name, because everyone wanted to give him a chance. It was really quite beautiful. It was, so, you know, there's the big shot and then there's the regular people, and it's that great combination where Inman's little Switzerland. No one can own stock in Inman. I own it all, and we don't have it. And none of our reporters or editors can own stock in any of these companies we talk about. And the reason for that is old-fashioned, credible, independent news service. And that's why I think we built a good reputation with our readers. Is they may not like everything we write about. They may not like some of our headlines, but they know we're not bought and sold by anyone. We have an independent agenda. And the only agenda we have is every day to serve the realtors that read us. We get up every single morning. I'll tell you a story. Once a reporter came to work for me. He turned out to be a very good reporter. But he made fun of realtors one time. And I said, hey, dude, let's try something. Let's try an experiment on you. I said, I'm not going to pay you for 90 days. I'm not going to dump a paycheck in your bank account on the 15th and 30th. And I'm not going to give you health insurance. I'm not going to give you sick leave, all benefits I offer. We're not going to give you maternity leave or paternity leave. And after 90 days, we'll see if you did a good enough job. And if you did, you know, maybe I'll pay you. I said, let's try that, okay? And he goes, no, I don't want to do that. I go, I know you don't want to do that, but that's the people you're writing for. That's your reader. And if you're in journalism, you have to think of only one thing: who is your reader? So I said, knock it off about the jokes. And the next time you do it, that's what I'm going to do, which for him and me, I'm going to lay you off. And all of our reporters understand that. A good journalist serves their readers. We don't try to scare them or incite them, or we just try to deliver value. And the coronavirus is amazing. Our readership went through the ceiling and our subscriptions went through the ceiling because the Inman community needed us more than ever. And we also switched gears. We became really service journalism oriented, providing resources and all the things people needed to deal with it. And now what's around the bend and what they need to do to, you know, survive this summer and this fall and next year. So that's our duty. That's what we care about. We got another one here, it looks like. Do I have any pull with state legislatures? None. I'm a journalist. I'm not a lobbyist, but you got a lot of clout at CAR and NAR. And I know NAR is working on this federal bill, which could preempt some of the local laws. You know, some things we shouldn't have the feds preempt, but I think this is one where, you know, the state laws have gotten in the way, even local laws, and we just need to cut through those, I think. Yeah, I think someone asked, what's the best tech? Gabe asked that. I think right now, more than anything, is the virtual walkthrough, digital contracts, digital agreement. Most of you are using that already. I do think we're going to see smart contracts. We're going to see, you know, all kinds of offering technology and closing technology. I think we're working the bugs out of a lot of the mortgage, the Freddie Krueger experience is going to be really good. I mean, more than anything right now, your CRM, bring it up to speed, but have a multitask CRM that can do a lot of different things. You know, and I'd be really careful about drip marketing and things that are annoying and really kind of disgraceful to the consumer at this time, because I don't think any of us want to be water tortured, which is what I call drip marketing. And it doesn't mean you can't come up with technology tools to communicate regularly to your customer, but make damn sure it's sincere. As I say, there's three things every realtor should work on right now. Your emotional IQ, you know, it's time to be listening more, empathy, and be in service. your tech IQ, you need to adopt all these things in this digital experience that's coming about. And most importantly is your market IQ. Buyers and sellers are confused. Is my house going up? Should I sell now? Should I buy now? And I always say, here, where am I? 92262. What do I want in my realtor? I want that realtor to have 92262 tattooed on his forehead or his ass. I want him to know my zip code like nobody else. You know, what sells, why it sells, how much, all the nuance. I can't get that online. I can't go online and find out what's really going on in 92262. I can get his estimate. I can pull down spreadsheets, but it's a big headache. But I know if I go to that smart realtor that has that tattoo, that I'll get everything I need. And those are the 3 things I'd work on now. Emotional IQ, time to be empathetic, understanding, and in service. Tech IQ, adopt all the tech tools that make the digital experience better for your customers. And know your market better than ever.
There's a comment from Charlie White.
Hey, Charlie. What did he say? Want to share that in our local right now, we're seeing a significant number of buyers coming in from densely populated men looking for more space, which they can buy. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I think people were knocking on my door. What I'm seeing on that issue is we all think that's going to happen, right? It just seems like it's going to happen. And we're getting inquiries, right? It looks like we want to get out. In Tahoe, I was speaking to a woman, top producer there, and she was saying it was happening before because of taxes. In her case, Tahoe, South Lake, because of California taxes. But she says now this whole issue of health and less dense, she feels like they're on the cusp of doing it, but they haven't been able to get in the car and come over and see it. You know, they don't really know that much about Tahoe. I suspect that Palm Springs or the desert, all these communities, is on the same radar, right? Mm-hmm. But they're probably locked, you know, they're probably calling. We can see it from traffic for sure. Web traffic, because I look at local data all the time. But we're really going to know once we're unlocked whether they come over here. The only bad thing is the timing, right? It could be 110. It's too bad. I mean, I wouldn't want to say this, but it's too bad Corona didn't hit, like in October when it's freezing in Buffalo, or cold in San Francisco. But so we'll see if, I don't want to say for sure it's going to happen, but there's certainly a lot of indications. I have a little house in West Hollywood, and I decided to rent it. And my wife and I, Yaz, and before Corona, we're getting 1 call a week. Now my realtor, Steve, is getting 10 calls a day. Now, why is that? Little single family home, 1927, little backyard, that's at a premium right now. And they're selling higher now because of that. So that would be a data point. And I got a lot of anecdotes and stories I've heard from around the country. But we'll see if it all adds up to a big trend. I'm hoping for Palm Springs. I'm betting on Palm Springs. I mean, and I should broaden that to a larger community. But there's just so much that was going on here. It was amazing. Just really, really amazing. My parents came here from Illinois in 1980, and we started coming then, and it was kind of thriving. And then it went through some bad periods, as you know, but what a great place. Just go out and look at that mountain. It saves me every day when I get on a bike and look at that mountain.
It's an oasis.
Oh, it's the best.
Hey, what platform are you using for the Connect, since you have so many in the audience?
Yes. So, yeah, it's going to be big, and we've been testing it in this thing we called Town Hall, because we tested 10 platforms, and then we rehearsed them in these town halls. We had about 1,000 people signed up in 5 minutes for our town halls, and we went back and forth, and then we finally decided what everyone's doing now is building on top of Zoom, and some really clever innovators. So Zoom is the foundational. But we also didn't want to repeat this experience, and nothing against what you've all done here, because it's definitely the way to do it. We wanted to create a more three-dimensional experience for interviews, so it's not me looking at you, more like a conversation, which is hard to do with Zoom. But the beauty of the Zoom Foundation, it's kind of like any foundation. The history of great tech companies, they want developers to build on top, and so a bunch of really good companies. So we have about 4 different programs built on top of the Zoom platform. When you go into Connect now, you won't know you're on Zoom. It'll be a whole different experience. And then we also paid, I leaned into this. I didn't fire anybody in my company. I hired more reporters. I decided to go for it. It just felt like it was our duty. And so we invested in a really high quality digital production company that I think it's going to be good, but you know, it's technology. But it's like you're in a convention center. How many times have you been at a meeting where the microphone broke, you know, or they couldn't do their slideshow, or I had one where the lights went out, which scared the hell out of everybody. So, you know, that's life. Life's not perfect. And so I'm sure we'll have some glitches here and there, but the team really all in making this happen. You know, really the sad thing, we had a CEO connect at the Parker every year the last 3 years. We had 200 of the top executives in real estate that descended on the Parker, and we had everything outdoors. And unfortunately, it was the last week in March, and we had to cancel it. So, and it was really a great event, and people love to come to the desert. Oh my God. They all want to buy a house after they came here.
When you talked about the interview with Mr. Keller,
Yeah.
is that something that is archived that we can view?
Yeah, I don't want to encourage you to watch it. I'm so embarrassed by it. But no, you can. We got some really great, and always have. I mean, this is funny. 2000, Larry Page calls me, founder of Google, and he says, hey, there's a lot of people searching on our new website. Have you heard of Google? And he goes, they're searching real estate. And I don't know anything about real estate. Can I come to your conference? And I said, sure, I'd love you to come. Can you speak? He goes, well, I'm pretty shy. I don't like to speak, but maybe I will. And so he came and he spoke. I'll never forget, I'm standing next to, you know, an old fart broker. You know, he's got this awful look on his face. All this is bullshit. And he says to me, Inman, who's this guy? Who's this guy from Google? Who's Google? I said, well, you may not know about him now, but I suspect you might in the future. So, you know, that's the thing that is really fun about all this, is getting these people that are so interesting and, you know, bring them to the industry. That's what we really try to do. I think you had a question in there. I ducked or forgot or something. Sorry, Robin.
No, I don't see any new questions.
Okay. Well, make sure you give the first three a free pass, and if the rest of you can join us, great. If not, just stay tuned to Inman and you'll see a lot of stuff going on there. There's a lot of free stuff and a lot of, you know, fun stuff that goes on in that community. It's a really strong community. They keep us honest. It's really amazing.
Is Robin on this call?
No, Robin isn't. She's my assistant. But
Okay.
I'll make sure you get everything about it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
We really appreciate your time. It's been wonderful. You're so
Yeah.
knowledgeable.
Thank you. Really
If-
nice to see the faces of the desert. We're kindred spirits here. And
Yes.
you all be well. Oh, can I read you something real quick before
Sure.
we close it? This is something, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we're all familiar with the fog in the summer. And this story just always hung with me. It's a short little poem. My dad says that, being from Southern Illinois, there was a day back when he was a kid or a young man where they put poems in the front page of the newspaper. You know, wouldn't that be nice instead of the picture of these politicians? But here's a poem that I always liked. The poet Carl Sandburg wrote, "The fog comes in on little cat feet. It sits looking over harbor and city on silent haunches, and then it moves on." So I read that and I thought, I just started thinking about the fog in San Francisco. So I wrote this. Almost every summer, the fog comes through the Golden Gate in San Francisco and defines life there. It defines our work, our play, our mood, and our daily decisions. Then in the fall, its season is over. Then I wrote, as we just begin to see through the fog of the COVID-19, we realize this too has an end. Not knowing when is daunting, and not yet understanding the full consequences is scary. But there is solace in realizing the raging 2020 COVID-19, not its memories, will come to a close. Thank you much for having me.
Thank you very much.
And if you're on Monterey Road, come see me, 361. Oh, I guess not. You can't come over. I apologize. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.